Hi everyone. It's day. I'm upside down on purpose. I am sitting here on Salt Spring Island, and it's rainy today. It's a very drizzly, rainy, early spring kind of day. And so I'm going to, I just spent the last, maybe 2 hours walking around here and just connecting with this place. And it's quiet today, which is so soothing for my soul. Just so quiet. And there's almost like a sense that the woods, the trees here are quiet too. Even the birds are listening today. And so I was thinking about making something to get us quiet, to get me quiet, to really be in dialogue with the dialogue, with the language of today. And the language right now is very soft. It's subtle, and it feels like there's something else that wants to speak to us. So anyway, I took a little forage and I collected once again these guys, which are just so beautiful. Look how beautiful these are. I don't know if you can see, but they're just so soft. And I also collected, these are actually berries from the last altar I did. I just took them up off rather than harvest more berries. I'm reusing. And over here, I have something special that I harvested today. And this is, I believe this is esquissetum. Although I've seen a lot of different varieties of it, but it looks pretty much like it, unless someone tells me I'm wrong, which is entirely possible. But if it is esquissetum, or a brother or sister of this plant, this is a very, very old plant. I actually wrote about this in my book. Hi, everyone. And this is basically the underforest of the Paleolithic era during the dinosaurs. These guys have been on Earth since the dinosaurs, or before the dinosaurs. They're very old, and thankfully one of the plants let me harvest them. And so before coming on today, I cut them all right here. I cut them all to be one size because I really liked this ombre effect, where it moved from green to grass. And it was so just enchanting to my eye, and I thought it would make a really beautiful altar today. And it seems to me that because we're in this time of transition, we're really in this time moving through something. Some would say it's a threshold time. I thought it would be nice to work with something that is in movement from one color to another color, to honor the transition that we're in right now. And specifically, one person on Instagram reached out to me to put out prayers for her father, who is in transition tomorrow. And I want to just honor her with this color transition, moving from the grass color to the green. In times of threshold, which is the time we are most certainly in, it's really important to slow down and reorient, because we don't know this new edge. We are in a liminal space, and best thing to do is slow down. And our planet is also helping us to do that, or is helping me right now to do that. So anyway, what I was thinking about doing is to make a circle around my water bottle. And let's just see how that works. So if you guys are willing to play with me right now, then here we go. Just gonna try one. one of these at a time. Let's see if I want the green in the center. Nope, I want the lighter color towards the center. Can you all see that? Yeah. Let's see. There we go. So I'm going to just put down a few. There we go. And just one by one, we're going to just place them near each other, see if they are happy together. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can. Okay. So I like to do things directionally. So really starting in the east and then in the north, just to get a sense of placement of the center. It's really good to put down directions. You know, if you know where the north is and where the east is and where the south is, you pretty much know where the center is, where you are, because you're at the center. So it's really good to just get a sense of where our center is on the altar by putting down some direction, just so we can get a sense. So let's pick these up because I like what's happening over there a lot better. You know, sometimes what's beautiful about this art form is that it's inevitable that you fuck up, you know, something that you don't like. And unlike painting or drawing or a lot of different art forms, this one you can just fuck up and then pick it up. And nature is this material is so forgiving because it's all just being placed on the ground, and really it's all impermanent. And just, you know, if it rains a little bit harder, this whole thing's gonna move. So, you know, it's good not to get used to things as you think that they should be, even though sometimes that drives me crazy. Like even now, it's driving me a little bit crazy. But it's really good to practice not getting so used to the way you want things to be. It's good to really focus, like I am right now. It's really good to just find a way to get them to how you want them to be. And of course, this is a metaphor, right? I'm not just talking about these guys, but it's a metaphor. And then it's really good not to get so attached to it, because we're in a much bigger world than ourselves. And sometimes life has a way of throwing you a curveball, and it's bigger than you. And so it's good to get used to life being bigger than you. Okay. So we have our east, our south, our north, and our west directions down, and it's good to suddenly get closer to the center by putting in the northeast, northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast, and northwest, just to get a sense of where the circle is going to be. And I'm not ashamed of using my water bottle to get a center, you know. It's like we live in this illusion that we should do everything ourselves, that we should be so independent and automatic to know how to do it, that I should know how to make a circle on my own. But that's not how life is, and that's not the point of tools. You know, we have tools so that we can learn how to, see? You gotta be very careful here. We have tools so that we can help us do things. Tools like this water bottle, which helps me make a little circle. Really hear Bob Ross when I'm talking right now. Happy circles. How's it look? Can you see? Okay, we're digging. This is a little rainy day activity here, but it's helping me slow down, and it's helping me just really place my hands. It's helping me use my hands to try and place objects. And what that does is it helps my mind with my thoughts as well. Don't underestimate the relationship between your mind and your hands. And sometimes if you use your hands, it helps to get your mind clear. I mean, anyone that knits knows that. Anyone that knits knows that it's good to get your mind clear with your hands, with your handwork. And the wind is picking up. Okay, and it's starting to rain more. Anyway, anyone that uses their hands knows that it helps to calm the mind. And our ancestors, I shouldn't say our ancestors, my ancestors, and most probably your ancestors knew that as well, and made a lot of handwork in order to calm the mind. And then you make things. You actually come out with something made, and your mind gets calm. Isn't that an amazing thing? So, hi everyone. Okay. How's it looking? Give me some feedback. Anyone watching? I mean, I know you're all watching, but thank you. It's good to get a little love in the middle of this. So then we're going to go in between these guys. Let's put down 3 there. Let's put down 3 here. Can you start seeing the ombre? The movement? You'll start to see it soon. It's amazing that really what we're doing here is we're honoring's kind of it's maybe not the right word. Maybe the word is we're acknowledging the movement from death to life, or life to death, because that is exactly what this esquissedum is doing here, is that part of it is dead and part of it is alive. There's a little spider. So we're acknowledging the movement from life to death. Okay, so let's put some here. And I think, I'm of the mindset that says we really all should be engaging in rituals that honor transitions, because that's life. It's good to acknowledge and honor and celebrate and grieve and ritualize transitions, so that when they actually happen, that we're not so shocked about it, that we can really be with the transition. And so that's what this esquissedum is doing to me, to my eye right now. It's acknowledging the transition from this really light, grassy color to, I hope I have enough, to the green, to the life color. How's that look, everyone? We should always welcome those emotions to decode and learn. Yeah, it's hard to read upside down. Someone called. It's not a good time to receive a phone call. So let's go even slower here, because I can feel myself with the reins wanting to rush. And it's good to just really take our time. It's okay to get wet. Hopefully we get wet lots with the shower. It's okay to get wet outside. It's actually important to get wet outside. So let's do this. Let's see if we can get a half circle with these guys right here. And how does that look? Yeah, it's starting to come in down here. Hi, everyone. So, for some reason, it's really reminding me of something quite old right now. I don't know what it is, but this pattern, the circle in the circle, and then we're going to have a circle in here. It's like honoring three, or acknowledging three different circles. And what would that be? What are three different circles that we can acknowledge right now? Maybe the circle of our world, the world that we're in. And maybe the circle of our community or our neighbors. Very gentle here. Whoop. See, they come up very easily. I mean, I wish you could, these are so light. They're very, very light. So you have to be very, very careful. And then the circle, maybe of the place that we live. The actual neighborhood and the environment, the circle of the trees that surround us. And maybe the circle of our ancestry, our lineage, where we come from. So many circles in our lives. Our planet's moving in a circle. The whole galaxy, the universe is moving in a circle. Circles within circles. That's what this feels like in my eye. Moving from life to death. Which is such a really an amazing way to understand springtime. Movement from winter to spring. Oh yeah, it's looking good. The movement from winter to spring is very much a movement from death to life. And then within springtime, there's also this movement of things being born, but also things dying as they're born. It's very much like there's endings with beginnings, is what I'm trying to say. There's always an ending. There's always an ending that accompanies a beginning. And so when you are in the presence of an ending, it's good to see the beginning. And when you're in the presence of a beginning, it's good to see the ending. And it's good to see where this is, maybe we'll call this beginning and we'll call this ending. And it's really good to see where they meet. Not to see them as distinct, I heard stories of funerals where people would laugh and celebrate, and I've heard stories, and I've been at weddings where people cry and grieve, and that's life, right? It's not just one thing; it's many, many things. Anyway, I really love. This is what I love about nature and making art here, is it helps me really connect to the deeper themes of life. And not just think about it or read it in a book, but actually to see it, to be in the presence of this. It's looking good. Yeah. So I don't have a lot left of the esquisito, and I'm not going to harvest more. So let's see if we can beg, borrow, and steal to fill this in so that it looks really good. And I also, because we're working with an altar here, an altar about beginnings and endings, I really want to ask you, what are the beginnings and endings that you're honoring in your life right now? Where do you need to honor, if you're thinking too much of an ending, where do you need to acknowledge the beginning? And vice versa, if you're too much in the beginning, how can you acknowledge something that is ending? And so think about, maybe really consider the parts of your life right now that need you to be in the middle, that need you to really consider your place in the greater scheme of things. And as I said, we're really aiming to bring the attention to the center here. And we did that with directions. We put these down in directions. And now we're trying to bring ourself. As we're doing this, we're trying to really consider, what are the ways where I can acknowledge and honor the movement of life, the movement of things dying, the movement of things being born. And that's very, very appropriate these days, because there's a lot of that happening in the world, and there are other ways to be with it besides panic or freak out or upset. There are ways that we can kind of tune into, I only have 4 left, tune into the greater remembering. And that is the movement of life, just like the movement in this altar. Oop. I want to move that way. Just subtle movements. Good catch. Reference. Thank you. Okay, so we have 2 left. Let's just take a look, see where we need to drop on. It is so, we have to be very, very, very careful. Everything is impacted here. If I jack this the wrong way, if I touch this the wrong way, it impacts everything. So I have to be very careful here, very considerate. Yes. Because otherwise, it's all connected. And here, I'm going to use a scissor to separate these two. It's all connected. There we go. And one thing impacts the other. Oops. See? And that is true for this piece, and that is true for our lives. How does that look, everyone? Yeah. Okay, so I have 2 other materials here. I have this, and I have that. And I'm going to see how I want to do this. So I want to do it like this. Yeah, that looks lovely. So here, I'm going to do that again with the north and the south and I'm going to start there and do kind of crown that. How does that look? Yeah. Oh, honoring the circle of life. It's hard to read upside down. And the beginnings and endings, yes. This is beautiful. I've missed your wisdom and musings. Thank you. So one thing that I've learned in this process with art is to not see how much energy is coming from this, especially from the center out. It's so much energy. It's so much color, and it's a burst. And so you don't want to crowd it because it's moving, and you don't want to get in the way. For instance, like here's a good thing. So just as an exercise, if I put these you might like this, but I'm going to show you something. If I put these here, for instance, and I gave this a border like that, in my opinion, it's too tight. It's cluttering. It's holding it too tightly. Sometimes you have to really feel into how that which you just made wants to be held. I don't know if that makes sense. It makes sense to me. Sometimes something really needs to be held tightly, and sometimes something needs to be held gently. And these guys, in my opinion, it's pretty, but it's too tight. And it feels like it's suffocating them, this burst. So I'm going to use these guys because they're curvy. and that to me sometimes is more just plays better. Okay, so I'm gonna I'm doing north, east, south, and west just to orient myself here, and then I'm gonna do south, same thing that I did, southeast, southwest, northeast, northwest. Okay. Like that. I do want to say, and again, if you love my work, I haven't really spoken about this, but it is a interesting time to be an artist these days, and there's a lot of risk. There always is risk being an artist. You're taking risk making art, but in our world, it's really, really a risky endeavor to be doing this, and and it's a real roller coaster, to be honest, to be an artist these days, and especially in today's climate. But I can't do anything else. I mean, I can teach and write, and I'm writing a new book right now. So I can do all of that, but it's risky. All of that is to say, I have a Patreon, and the way that the old artists used to do it for hundreds and hundreds of years is that artists wouldn't have to be business people. We would just be supported in doing our work in the world, and something just fell. And we'd have patrons, and then somewhere other after the Industrial Revolution, artists had to be also business people, and not only had to make art but had to sell it. And there's this funny line between being an artist and being a business person. All of that is to say, if you love my work and you would like to support me or give a few bucks just so I can continue to do this and live, and bring you more beauty and bring more wisdom from nature, my Patreon is patreon.com/morningaltars. patreon.com/morning, MORNING, altars, ALTARS. Thank you. I'm only going to do one commercial because when I listen to podcasts, that's all I like to hear. I don't want to be overly commercialized. What do you guys think of this pattern? Just playing. You digging? Are you digging it? What if you liberated it with a pine cone axis mundi? I like what you chose with those. Thank you. Patreon.com/morningaltars. Thank you. Thanks for posting it. I really appreciate that a lot, actually. I'm just going to keep on doing this work in the world and believe that it is needed. And that is the way to proceed right now, is really to see what your calling is and to proceed, to know that you're needed. My teacher, Stephen Jenkinson, said something interesting once. He said, imagine that you are needed and not needy in the world. I like that play between needed and needy. We are needed. Here we go. How does that look, everyone? Oh, that looks very interesting. You know what that looks like to me is like, it feels like a petroglyph or something like it's just feeling very Egyptian, ancient Egypt to me. I don't know. How is your new book coming along, Day? Oh, thanks for asking. It's actually, this week has been remarkable. I picked up the writing again after the catastrophe of the last few weeks, and the chapter that I'm writing about right now is on, it's apropos, global and national events. What are rituals that need to be done during a global or national event? And so I've been writing a chapter on that. Rituals for global. What do you guys think of this? Come on, little berry. There we go. Rituals for global and national events, because we have these enormous events like the one we're in right now, or even, I was writing this week about that my high school, I went to high school at Stoneman Douglas in Parkland, Florida, where there was a shooting a few years ago. That was my high school. And we have these big events like that. And then we're just expected to kind of like move on with our lives. And I did after that one. I was in shock for some time. And then eventually life needed to move on, and so it did. And I wasn't, it like marked me, it affected me, but I didn't really let it change me. And so now I'm really doing this big wondering with this pandemic, because we are all being changed by this. I mean, all of our lives are interrupted right now. Some of us are really trying not to let our lives be interrupted, which I am a little bit troubled by. And I also do that myself. I'm trying to work and be on the computer, answer emails. So in the book, I'm really wondering about what does it mean to try and get back to normal? And is that what's wanted from us in this time? Are we trying to just get back to normal as soon as possible? Like Trump's trying to do. Like, we're gonna open all the quarantines by Easter. We have business to do. Or really is this time asking something more from us? And is it asking us to slow down? And is it asking us to stop? Is it asking us to somehow listen more, or let the interruption speak? In growing up, I actually was a very religious Jew. I chose it when I was about 13 years old. And one of the ways that I expressed that was I had Shabbat, the Sabbath. I was a very dear observer of the Sabbath, which means every Saturday, Friday night to Saturday, like today, I would not use any electricity. I would not cut, tear. I would not cook. I wouldn't carry anything outside. I would just rest. I'd read a lot, and I would just rest. And I would call it a technology. Shabbat is a technology for my culture. And the technology is telling us we have to rest. We can't just keep going. It can't always be nonstop all the time. And so one of the wisdoms of these times that we're in is to slow down, to stop, and check this out. This is one thing I'm writing about in the book. What if we let ourselves be marked by the times that we're in, and as a response to that, we marked the times itself, so that we were marked by the time and we mark it. And what does that mean? Well, it means that letting this time change us. It means being changed by the times that we're in. It means changing our behaviors, changing our thoughts, changing our routines, maybe changing how much work we do. And what does it mean to mark the time? Well, this is one way to do that. There's so many different kinds of rituals that we can do to mark the time. But to mark it is different. And when I was a teenager and Jewish, well, I'm still Jewish, but when I was religious, I would mark Friday night by lighting candles. And basically the candle lighting, we bless wine and we bless bread. And those three ways were basically the marking of the moment that says, now we're entering into a totally different time. And I think this needs that too. This time needs us to mark it as totally different, not business as usual. It is a very different time. And I think all global and national events, really all even personal, big transitions need that from us. They need us to say, this is not a regularly scheduled program. This is a totally different time. Look at that. I am done with the berries. I think I'm done with the piece, guys. I'm going to reveal the piece by lifting up the water bottle. And again, we have circle. There's how many circles here? How many circles do you see? I see one circle, then the green is another, then this brownish transition color is another, then the grass is another, and then we're about to have this circle here. So I guess let's ritualize this. So as I unplug this tool, the question is, what are we unstopping? What are we unplugging? What are we unplugging from? That's a great question. What are we, maybe someone can write that in the comments. What are we unplugging from? What are you unplugging from? As I said, when I observe Shabbat, the Sabbath, I would unplug from technology. I would unplug from electricity. I'd unplug from cooking. I'd unplug from my schedule. I'd unplug from everything. I would just unplug. And I would just be with this world as perfect. Everything was perfect. I didn't need to do anything. Everything was as it is. Everything's perfect. Nature is such a beautiful teacher of that. Let it too. Yeah. What are we unplugging from? Thank you so much. So I'm about to unplug. So what are you unplugging from? What am I unplugging from? I'm going to say I'm unplugging from worry at this time. I'm plugging into trust, and I'm unplugging from worry. I'm not plugging my energy force into that. What are you unplugging from? Here we go. I'm unplugging. Dun, da, da, da. It's pretty cool, huh? I'm looking at it. So here she is, perfectly imperfect. There's always something to futz, always something to mix. But she's perfectly imperfect. Unplugging from fear. Yeah. So, we got some hearts. Thank you. She feels so beautiful. And I once again want to just put out a prayer. Someone reached out to me on Instagram this morning or yesterday and asked me to make an altar for her dad. So this is connected to her dad and the transition he's in. And this is true for all of our transitions. And really this is the altar of unplug, the unplugging altar. And when we unplug from something, it allows there to be a lot more space for that in the center. You know, I want to call this little space the mystery. A lot more space for the unknown, for the unfilled, for the mysterious. We need to learn how to honor mystery more in our world and in our lives. Learn how to honor and be with uncertainty. That is really what meditation is, right? It's being with uncertainty. And but we have to unplug from things to do that. And so thank you for being with me as I made this altar. I hope it served your life in some way. Again, if you would be so kind to support my Patreon, that would be so amazing. I would be so grateful. Patreon.com/morningaltars. And if not, and this is in service to your life, so, you know, that is good enough for me. And I'm grateful that you lend me your time today, that you're willing to sit with me and make something beautiful. I feel like Bob Ross, Julia Child, like the slow cooking of making something beautiful. And I thank you. And maybe it would be good to look at you and say thank you. You all are so beautiful. Oh, yeah. So maybe one more time for those of you that that haven't been able to see the piece. Here she is. And the esquisitum into the ombre, into that great mysterious center. And I'm not going to make you so dizzy right now, but I love you. Thank you. Thank you so much for your attention and for joining me for another nature altar, another morning altars practice. Yeah, I love you. Oh yeah, look at this. I want to just say I'm right now cuddled up and warm because of my brother, and I want to acknowledge him. This hat and this scarf is a gift from my brother, who owns a company called Late Sunday Afternoon, and it's closed. The shop is, because of what's happening. So he's also honoring an ending too, and so I wanted to honor him because it's good to just love our family up like that. So I love you. I will be continuing to do this if it serves. And if you can spread the word, that would be fantastic. And until then, beautiful people, get outside if you can. If not, I will continue to bring the outside into you. And thank you. Thank you. Oh, hey, Chelsea. I'm glad you're here. Okay, let's make beauty together, especially in these times. No better time to make beauty than a troubled time. This is why we're here. This is the calling. So I want you to hear that. It's easy to make something pretty in a time that is free of trouble. It's much more important and more difficult to make beauty in a dark and troubled time. But the darkness needs our beauty too. And I'm your ally in that. Okay. Ta-ta!